age in making a product so good, so utterly brilliant that, when asked for a follow-up, you change a minor detail or two, give it a slightly different name and call it today. To be honest and in entire seriousness, that's exactly what Sony did with A8F. It took the Sony A1E OLED from last year, added a subwoofer and swapped out the stand, and re-released it as the Sony Bravia A8F OLED. One way to see this situation is that Sony clearly made a competent product this time last year. It sold well, but as a company it felt that the large, slate-style kickstand was holding it back from even greater glory. Hence the reason to make the same TV with a different stand. On the other hand, you could see this as the single greatest lazy move in the history of TV making, one that is both impressive and also completely confusing. Instead of traditional drivers that blast sound out of a 3-inch woofer, Sony utilizes exciters to ever so slightly vibrate the screen. Representatives from Sony claim this is a more practical way to produce sound, and while it's not Dolby Atmos-like quality like LG's OLED, it's a unique solution to the age-old problem of speakers marring a TV's aesthetic. The slate design has become slightly more modernized by switching the kickstand pedestal for a flat base, but by and large it's still a monolithic sheet of glass that has no front-facing speakers, or really any speakers at all. Instead of traditional drivers that blast sound out of a 3-inch woofer, Sony utilizes exciters to ever so slightly vibrate the screen. Representatives from Sony claim this is a more practical way to produce sound, and while it's not Dolby Atmos-like quality like LG's OLED, it's a unique solution to the age-old problem of speakers marring a TV's aesthetic. His will be a short one. The A8F will use the exact same version of Android TV that the A1E currently uses. The good news is that Sony TVs with Android TV will have access to Google Assistant in the new year, which is especially good for those of us with burgeoning smart homes. Despite the fact that Sony's OLED panel is nearly a year old at this point, it's still gorgeous. And although other manufacturers have upped the visual performance with their software, Sony's A8F can still hold up against them, yes, even against LG's current crop of 8 series OLEDs. A major driving force behind the panel's performance is the X1 Extreme processor. It remains unchanged since last year, but it's still capable of stellar upconversion, superb noise reduction, excellent motion handling and object-based HDR, basically everything you'd need when creating a top-tier image.